Hello and welcome to the Warhammer 40k Imperial Guard Tactics video. Now before we get into today's video, I'd like to say a huge thank you to York Chan for sending in some awesome pictures of his Imperial Guard embroiled in a fierce battle with some traitor forces. And I have to say, both armies in these photos are absolutely fantastic. I love the classic Cadian colour scheme of York's army. He sent some pictures in before and they always look fantastic. Always good to see the Guard holding the line. But I have to say also that Chaos Army is really, really beautifully painted as well. I love the sort of traitor guard being supported by a couple of super heavies. You've got some of the old Forge World stuff, and you've got that really awesome Chaos Knight as well. Absolutely epic battle scene. The guard holding the line versus the onrushing tides of chaos. It looks absolutely fantastic. Thank you for sending these pictures in York. If anyone else has got any cool pictures they want me to use in my videos, please post them on my Facebook page. There will be a link down in the description below. Now, without further ado, let's get into today's video, which is going to be a Know Thy Foe video. Okay, and we're going to be taking a look at the current top tier Tau list, which is Riptides backed up by as many shield drones as the Tau can get their hands on. I think it's 47 shield drones. But there are different variations of this list, but it all works on the same basic principle. Okay. What's important to understand before we get into, like I said, the list itself is there are variants of it, but what is important to understand is the mechanics behind how the list works, which is it relies upon the fact that Riptides, despite being these huge war machines, do not have the vehicle keyword. They have the battlesuit keyword. Now that's really important to remember, because the Tau have drones, and they're these little flying discs, which are basically little bodyguard units, and they have a rule called Savior Protocol, and that only works on battlesuits. It doesn't work on vehicles. So that's why the Riptide works so well with the Tau drones, because the Riptide itself is a tough nut to crack. You know, it's got 14 wounds, 14 or 16 wounds. It's got a high amount of wounds. It's got a 2+ save. It's got a 5+ invuln, which can be boosted to a 3+ invulnerable save. It can repair with repair protocols, and it can get a 6+ feel no pain as well via Sense of Stone from an ethereal. But we'll get into that in a minute. So you've got a unit which is already very tough. But then the drones can intercept wounds for it via this rule called Savior Protocol. Now, how the rule works is when the Riptide takes a wound, you roll a 2+. And on your dice, on a 2+, the drone intercepts the wound. And this can be any kind of drone that can do it. Any kind of drone. So what you have is a unit that's already very tough, which can then pass off wounds to, like we said, to dozens and dozens of drones. And the drones that you're going to see people take are shield drones. Okay, very important reason for this. Now the drones do have to be within 3 inches of the unit, by the way, so they have to be, bubble wrapped. But and this can be in shooting and in close combat, these drones tanking these wounds. And Riptides have the fly keyword and a good movement, so you can't even wrap and trap them. Okay? They're just going to boost away. Any damage that you do to them are going to be intercepted by drones, and they're just going to boost away. So it makes for an incredibly durable list. It's an attritional list that has good firepower, because the Riptides come with a heavy burst. You're going to see them with a heavy burst cannon, which is 12... strength 6, AP -1, damage 2 shots. But a Tau player will typically Nova Charge which is similar to overcharging. Will Nova Charge the burst cannon, which means on a dice, if you roll you take a mortal wound, but then your heavy burst cannon goes up to strength to 18 shots, strength 7, I believe. That's a lot of shots. And then the enemy will put advanced targeting system on the Riptides, which means that they become AP -2. So it's very durable and has incredible firepower. 18 shots for one of those Riptides. And then they get 2 smart missile systems as well, which means they can ignore line of sight and get 8 strength 5 shots with AP -1, which ignore cover. So this list is fantastic because it's incredibly durable, has great line of sight firepower with the Riptide heavy burst cannons, but then also can target things out of line of sight because it's got essentially 6 smart missile systems, which is 24 strength 5 AP -1, ignoring cover, ignoring line of sight, 30-inch range shots. So that's not insignificant. But so the Riptides, as you can see, pump out a huge amount of firepower, and innately they're very tough. But like I said, they get to take advantage of the Tau drones, and the drones will intercept wounds for them on a 2+. Now it's very important to understand because it is a mortal wound. Okay, it is a mortal wound. So if the drone intercepts a damage on a 2+, the drone takes a mortal wound. But that's really important to understand how the mechanic works. Okay, just to delve in a little deeper, right? Because what you're going to see is, like I said, people take shield drones, and shield drones come with a 4+ invulnerable save if you target them directly, and at any time they get a 5+ feel no pain as well. So even if you get past the 4 up invuln, they've got a 5+ feel no pain. Now that 5 feel no pain is at all times. It's not just for intercepting wounds, it's also when the drone itself is taking wounds. That's very important to remember. But if you read the Saber Protocol rules, what it says is you intercept the wound on a 2+, and if you do it successfully, the drone takes a mortal wound but absorbs all the damage. Now that's really important, because what happens when you hit someone with a really high damage, you hit one of these Riptides with a really high damage weapon and the drone intercepts it. So let's say you hit them with the Hammer of Sunderance, flat 3 damage, or a las cannon, you get a 6 on the damage roll. It doesn't matter. Doesn't matter at all, because the drone just when it intercepts a wound via Savior Protocol, just takes a mortal wound. So you could hit them with like a damage, you could hit them with a Shadow Sword, okay, which has got insane levels of damage, but the drone, when it saves you, if you shoot the Riptide and the drone intercepts the wound, the drone will only take 1 mortal wound, and the rest of the damage, it just goes away. So it's really, really powerful. And so what that means is that you basically can't target the Riptides, because you may sneak a wound through here and there, but if you're targeting the Riptides with your big guns, the drones are just going to intercept it, and then they've got a 33% chance of just passing your Demolisher cannon shell. Easy peasy. So it's really tough. However, if you read the shield drone rules, they have a 5+ feel no pain. But if you target those shield drones directly, they take the full damage. They don't take a mortal wound, they take the full damage. So just to be clear, I know I'm over-egging the point, but it's really important. This is the crux of the whole thing and how to beat it, okay? If you target the Riptide with, let's say, a Demolisher cannon, and you wound it, the drone will intercept the wound, and you don't roll your damage roll. It intercepts the wound on a 2+, and then it just gets to make a single 5 feel no pain roll, and if it makes it, then the drone lives, and the rest of the damage, all your damage just goes away. The D6 just goes away. However, if you target the drone directly, it has a 4+ invulnerable save, and if you get past that, you then get to roll the full damage roll. Okay, and so if you got, for example, you fired a Demolisher cannon, and you got the 6 after getting past the invulnerable save, you got 6 in the damage roll, the drone would have to make 6 feel no pains, 6 5-ups. Okay, so straight away you guys can see what I'm going to say here, which is target the drones. Strip all the drones away. Okay, and just do that in the first 2 turns. Okay, yes, the Riptides will be pounding you. They will be absolutely pounding you. But strip all the drones away, and then the Riptides are actually fairly easy to deal with. Because once you've stripped, you may not have to strip all the drones away. Okay, you might have to strip all of them away. You might just have to strip enough of them away that he's not got any in range. As long as he doesn't have any in range, any within 3 inches of a Riptide. So what you might find, I've gone up against this list multiple times. Okay, I've gone up against it 3 times, and I've beaten it twice, and I've lost to it once. But the game, and this is not to take away from my opponent's victory, but I will say I lost the game due to my making stupid mistakes. Okay, I was very rusty with the new ITC format, and I just kept, there were a few points I should have picked up, and I lost the game by 1 point, and I could easily have avoided that, but it's my own fault, so I lost to my mistakes. Okay, so but only losing by 1 point is very good when I was running what would be considered not a top tier competitive list versus this thing. And the way I've beaten it twice and only narrowly lost to it once is by targeting the drones. Okay, even if you're shooting demolisher cannons, battle cannons, even las cannons, target the drones. Strip the drones away. Now, what you're going to have to remember is that drones have got a very small footprint, so he can, especially if you're playing ITC, which is very competitive, which is sort of the go-to competitive format, there'll be line of sight blocking terrain, and his Riptides will be on sort of one side of that terrain, and the drones will be on the other side of it, and his drones will be intercepting those wounds. So you're going to need line of sight ignoring things. Basilisks and mortars are really, really good, but you know, and wyverns as well are really good at just shredding drones to pieces, because at the end of the day, they've just got a 4+ save. That's all. They've just got a 4+ save, and they're just toughness 4. Now you can strip through them if you try hard enough. You strip through them. Now, and that is the key to beating the list, guys. Honestly, because there are other things in the list as well. Just to be there will be an ethereal in there to give them all up a 6 at Feel No Pain. But remember, when the Tau Riptide Nova charges, it does a mortal wound to itself. So what you'll find is you'll spend turns 1 and 2 stripping away the majority of the drones, and then when you get to the Riptides, they're all 2 wounds down each anyway. Unless he's been lucky with his Feel No Pains, they're all 2 or 3 wounds down anyway. So it's not a problem dealing with them after that. And the thing with the Riptides is when they Nova charge, they have to pick between, do they make the heavy burst cannon go nuts and get all the extra shots, or do they give themselves a 3-up invulnerable save? So even when you strip the drones away, they can give themselves a 3-up invulnerable save. But if they give themselves a 3-up invulnerable save, you're not, they're reducing their firepower by 1/3, and that's good. That's taking less damage. Okay. Now, what's also very important, there are other things that affect as an ethereal. There will be some Markerlight support. You'll see things like marker drones, okay, and you'll also see maybe things like pathfinders, but you'll almost certainly see at least a firesight marksman, because what another big weakness of the list is it's only got ballistic skill 4+. The whole Tau only got ballistic skill 4+, and that means that if you strip, but they can get up to ballistic skill 3+ if they get 5 Markerlight hits on a unit. And so what that tends to mean is the Tau players that run this list, they kind of run a bare minimum amount of Markerlights that they can get away with, in the hopes, maybe they'll run a few characters with it, and they'll try and target one unit. So if you've got like a Baneblade, for example, they'll just put 5 Markerlights on that unit, and that gives them the extra ballistic skill. They get 3+, and then they can just shred that one thing. So this is really good at shredding one high value thing at a time, but it's not quite as good at dealing with multiple medium level threats. Okay, so once you've removed the drones and the Markerlights, they're the 2 things you want to focus on, because the things that carry Markerlights for Tau, in high quantities, are like pathfinders, and they're not very durable. They've got a 5-up save, they've got flak armor, who cares? And marker drones have just got a 4-up normal save, so you can just kill them. And if he's running characters, then those characters only shoot 1 Markerlight each, so it's not a super reliable thing for him to rely upon. The list I've faced a few times has got one Fireblade, and then who hits on a 2+, but the rest of them are just normal drones and pathfinders. You just clear those away. So once you've got rid of the Markerlights, the whole list is hitting on 4+. It suddenly becomes way less deadly. Way less deadly. And then you strip all the drones away, and the Tau player doesn't want to lose a Riptide, so he's forced to then switch to using a 3-up invuln. And the list's firepower becomes even more manageable. Because now he's only hitting on a 4+, and now he's only getting 12 shots per Riptide. You can deal with that. That's only 6 hits. That's, you can deal. That's not a problem. You can deal with that, no problem. So that's something to be aware of. And don't forget, the Tau have no psychic defense. So we've talked about earlier in the week about having a psychic battery. If you strip the drones away and then just start smiting and doing a psychic maelstrom on these Riptides, you'll be surprised. Two smites and a psychic. Just say 2 smites. That's 4 mortal wounds off the thing. That's a quarter. A third to a quarter of its wounds gone from 2 little characters. Do that every turn. You'll get rid of one of these things. You'll just get rid of it. And so it does have its weaknesses, definitely. Now, just to let you know, because I'm sure someone will comment on it, they do have a stratagem where one Riptide a turn can Nova Charge and do 2 things. So you may find that even if you strip all the drones away, one of the Riptides will still be getting 18 shots and a 3-up save. But it does cost some stratagems, and this list doesn't tend to have a lot of CP. And most of the CP that you see it using is for uplink Markerlight, so it can get more markers, and for Markerlight bomb, so it can drop some Markerlight. So it does, but so you won't see it after the first few turns. You won't see it doing the triple overwatch, the double Nova Charge thing. Now, what I found, so as you can see, it has weaknesses, and once you've there is one other thing to be aware of though in the list, is it will typically have 3 Tau commanders. Okay, Tau commanders are really good, but they're not that tough to kill. They're like 6 wounds on a toughness 5 model with a 3-up save. They're not that difficult to kill. What's the thing about Tau commanders is because they've got less than 10 wounds, you can't target them unless and they'll be hiding behind drones, and they're in battle suits, so drones can catch wounds for them. But they'll be running typically triple cyclic Ion Raker. And they're really powerful weapons. Their damage D3. They can be overcharged to strength 8. They probably have ATS, so they'll be A for -3. They're really powerful weapons, but they are only strength 8. And if they get overcharged, and every time they overcharge, there is a chance that they do wounds to the commander. Every time he shoots them on a 1, he takes a wound. So, he's fine. He can easily do a wound himself a turn, easily. So, how have I beaten this list? Well, like I said, this list is very good at killing Marines, because Marines tend to have a few high value units, and this list just goes, right, I'm going to Markerlight that up, Nova Charge the crap out of it. I've got 3 turns of drones that the Marines have got to chew through, which means I can eliminate 2 to 3 high value Marine targets a turn, no problem. They just do that. I've beaten it with my armoured list, my Steel Legion, and this was before I had fully distilled it. Okay, now, my Steel Legion, with my armoured list, I run it as Steel Legion because it's fun, but it's not the best way of running it. If you were to run that list that I put up last week, the mechanised one, that, when run as Katachan, really pours it on against this list, because what you've got so much hull saturation. What you have to realise is those Riptides are wounding Chimeras and they're wounding Leman Russes on 5s. That's not great. That's not great at all. So even if they're targeting, and like I said, they can only really boost up to kill 1 unit a turn. So they'll kill like a Russ a turn. Alright. I mean, maybe a Russ and a Chimera. Alright, that's fine. I've got, that gives me enough. When I've done this, I've had Russes left over at the end, because it gets to the point where, because you're running onto objectives, the Tau Riptides are forced to kill things like infantry and Chimeras, so your tanks can keep fighting, can keep shooting at them. So it's not good against massed armor. This list, it's not good against it at all. And I also beat it with my Black Templars. Now, to be fair, Black Templars are Marines. And to be fair, I run a weird Black Templar list. I run 100 Marines. So what happened is I took pretty horrendous damage going in, but because it's ITC and I used line of sight blocking terrain, and I was in I was in cover for most of it. What you find is when you're using ITC, my Black Templars, they sort of cover hop, and so the Riptides are okay, but they're relying on smart missile systems to do all the damage, and they still get to burst cannon a bit, but not as much as they'd want to. So what I did with my Steel Legion, I just outlasted them and just blasted and blasted and blasted. There's no drones. I killed all the drones in 2 turns with my Steel Legion. It's because everything's heavy bolters and above in terms of firepower. And then with the Black Templars, I cover hopped and then just held all the objectives with 100 Black Templars who were basically fearless. And just used, because all my Black Templars got low. Black Templars actually has a really surprisingly good amount of firepower in it, because it's still 100 Marines, 40 of which are bolters and heavy bolters and plasma guns and all that kind of stuff. So my Black Templars just outlasted anything that when he tried to get close to take me off the objectives, I was holding more every turn and I'm killing more every turn because of he's got loads of drones and drone squads are easy to kill. He had to try and force me off the objectives. I just charged in, or heroically intervened with characters, and just did horrendous damage to them. So, and I beat it once with Black Templars the first game, then I beat it the second time with my actual Steel Legion, and the third time I lost it by 1 point with my Steel Legion, but again, it was my stupidity. I let myself down. The point is, the list it's tough, but it's not invincible. Once you know how to deal with it, and once you know the tricks, it's not impossible to beat. Now, one thing to be aware of is, and I should have mentioned this earlier in the video, but at least it's a treat for you guys who have stayed to the end. Some of you might be saying, why don't you shoot the Riptide with everything? Because you're going to be shooting drone. He's going to be intercepting with drones anyway. But then if you get something through, then you'll do some damage to it. The reason I advocate against that strategy is twofold. One, as previously mentioned, anything that the drones intercept, they're likely to survive because they just get a 5 point of pain, and it just brings the damage down to basically 1 mortal wound. And secondly, when you're targeting the Riptide, you have to wound. The drones are going to intercept the wounds, but you're wounding the Riptide, which means you have to wound the toughness 7 model. Which means it's much harder to wound a toughness 7 model than it is to wound a toughness 4 model, which is the drone. So that's why I would always advocate strip all the drones and Markerlights first, spend 2 to 3 turns doing that, and then you'll find that the list is relatively fragile. And what you'll find out after turn 3 is actually the commanders are the bigger threat, and if you can get rid of the commanders, the Riptides aren't that big a deal. Now, if you want evidence of this, live evidence, I can recommend going and checking out the Tabletop Tactics battle. Well, everyone knows what Tabletop Tactics is. And they did a battle bot recently where it was this list versus the old Plague Bear list. It's Battle of Attrition. And what you noticed is the drones got stripped away, and then the commanders died second. And when the commanders died, the list really just didn't have the firepower to deal with what was being run against the demons. The Riptides didn't have the firepower to deal with the demons, and so spoiler alert: the demons won it because they targeted the drones and the Markerlights, and then they targeted the commanders, and then actually the Riptides themselves aren't that good, and that's what you should be thinking about doing as well. So I highly recommend Tabletop Tactics in general, and I highly recommend checking out that battle report. It was really good. It was on their free view, so you don't have to pay for it, and it was a tactical battle, and it was the last tactical battle that they did. So I hope you guys have enjoyed this video. Please let me know if I've missed anything out. I've tried to be quite thorough. Now, I haven't got into specific details on exactly what's going to be run in that list, because you will find that there are variants of it. Some people like to run Pathfinder, some people like to run marker drones, some people like to run all shield drones and to try and rely on characters to get the Markerlights off. And there are quite a lot of variances in the list. But the key core principle of it is the Riptides with drones backed up by commander firepower. And that's the key to it. So I hope you guys enjoyed this video. Like I said, if I've missed anything, please put it down in the comment section below. If you've got any experience fighting this list and have other tips for your fellow commanders, please put them down in the comment section below. If you've got any other questions, of course, put them down in the comment section, and I'll always try my best to get back to you. Thank you for watching. I hope you guys have enjoyed this video, and of course, I'll see you guys next time.